Donald Trump is preparing to do something that will completely alter the way United States government functions for centuries to come, and not enough people are talking about it. He wants to redo the United States Census. Now, you may think, well, who cares about the census? You should. Why? Because the census is mandated by Article 1, Section 2 of the United States Constitution. And the census determines how congressional districts are drawn across the country and how electoral votes are given to states based on their population. And what Donald Trump wants to do is he wants to redo the census and he wants to kick what he calls illegal immigrants off of the United States Census. What Donald Trump is actually trying to do, though, is far more sinister. He's trying to reapportion electoral college votes to Republican led states, and he's trying to give Republican led states a reason to redistrict their states, their congressional districts, in off years in 2025 and 2026. Why? So Republicans get more seats in the House of Representatives. Let's take a step back for just a second. The census is mandated by Article 1, Section 2 of the United States Constitution. This is a process that is done every 10 years. The most recent time it was done back in 2020. It was done in 2020, it was done in 2012, it's going to be done in 2030 again. And essentially, Article 1, Section 2 of the United States Constitution dictates what can and can't happen with the United States Census. It requires that every single person residing in the United States of America be subject to counting in the census. Now, let's think about that for a second. What is a person residing in the United States of America? Well, historically, to anyone, documented or undocumented, illegal or legal, whatever you want to say, however you want to say it, every single person within the boundaries of the United States of America in all 50 states is counted as part of the census. And that has been common practice for a very long time because that's what the Constitution says. But Donald Trump, since taking office the first time around back in 2017, he's been trying to change that. And then Republicans have been trying to change that. And back in 2016, 2017, during his first term, if you remember, he tried to add a citizenship question to the census. He tried to require census takers to essentially say whether or not they're a United States citizen. The Supreme Court, led by John Roberts, the conservative Chief Justice, and four liberal justices at the time, it was a 5-4 split. Well, they struck that down. They said that Trump can't do that because the way he tried to do that essentially violated administrative procedures within the federal government. And well, heading into 2020, heading into the COVID-19 pandemic, heading into another census year, Donald Trump tried to do what he's doing now. He tried to require that the census back in 2020 only counted individuals who were legal in the United States of America, who were United States citizens, green card applicants, etc. But now it's a little different. And back in 2020, when he first started to try to do that, it went up all the way to the United States Supreme Court. And the United States Supreme Court actually took the case. They were going to decide whether or not census counting can only be limited to legal United States residents. And well, Donald Trump was voted out of office. President Biden took office. The census took some time because of the COVID-19 pandemic. It was delayed. And President Biden essentially rescinded the presidential memorandum issued by Donald Trump, and it became a non issue. Fast forward 5 years later, Donald Trump is now once again trying to do what he tried to do back during his first term. And it's unconstitutional because the term persons is not specifically enumerated as a citizen, it's not specifically enumerated as a legal resident, it's a person. Any person residing within the United States of America is counted under the United States Constitution for census purposes. This isn't to determine who votes and who doesn't. This is to determine census purposes, counting of individuals and where they live, to apportion electoral college votes, to apportion House of Representative seats, to redistrict and draw the lines for who represents what area. And what he's trying to do now will make its way back up to the United States Supreme Court. And folks, honestly, with this Supreme Court, I don't know what the answer is going to be. If you look back throughout history, the term person was never specifically defined as a United States citizen. The founding fathers, when they drafted the Constitution, when they try to interpret it the first time around. When you look at the Federalist Papers, the term person was not necessarily always just United States citizen. It was a broad term, and it remains a broad term. And when you look at the history of that term, well, you don't get the interpretation that Donald Trump wants. But maybe that's all part of it, right? I've been saying for a long time that what Donald Trump has been trying to do since taking office this second time around is test how far he can go without receiving pushback, whether it's with the United States Constitution, whether it's in the courts, whether it's just within his power as an executive. He's been trying to see how far he can push before he gets the pushback. And well, now this is just another attempt to see how far he can push. He did it with the 14th Amendment and the term birthright citizenship, trying to change the 14th Amendment to not guarantee birthright citizenship to individuals born to two undocumented parents. Now he's trying to do it again in a more sinister way. Because if the United States Supreme Court, which is who will ultimately decide whether or not Trump can do this, sides with the president, then here's what's going to end up happening. You're going to have electoral college votes stripped from Democratic held seats or states and given to Republican held states. You're going to have more congressional districts in Republican held states instead of Democratic held states. And here's the kicker. What Texas Republicans are doing right now, well, that's just the beginning. And that's just a microcosm of what you'll see in Republican led states across the country because it'll give them a reason to redraw the maps right now in a way that is constitutional, in a way that complies with the Voting Rights Act, in a way that complies with the United States Senate. And so the courts are faced with a very difficult task. Is the term person limited to United States citizens? Based on all legal experts and history, the answer is no. But does this Supreme Court believe that? I don't know. And neither do you, and neither do many legal experts, because ultimately we're going to have to see what happens. But this plot by Donald Trump to redo the census, to remake the way American electoral processes run, that is the most sinister of them yet. And not enough people are talking about it, despite the fact that it's literally going to impact all facets of public life, the way people are elected, the policies that are implemented, who has power and who doesn't, and ultimately who you can vote for and who you can't. So remember that. Remember what he's trying to do right now. Hey folks, Aaron Parnas here. Thank you so much for watching The Parnas Perspective. Please consider subscribing to support our work as we grow this independent news media entity into something that rivals mainstream every single day. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.